Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Productivity Mastery. After a few weeks on the road, I'm back here. And once again, I'm bringing you an exceptional personality, somebody we can learn a whole lot of from Stephen Foster, who was kind enough to join us 3 a.m., 3 in the morning in his time zone. I did not understand that he's in the US time zone. But Stephen, thank you so much for the commitment. How are you this morning?
Pleasure. I'm fine. I'm back in the UK actually, but I'm still on the US time zone. When you arrive
Oh,
back and you're like, oh, you know, but it's fine. Absolutely great. A pleasure to be here.
one of the things that really fascinates me about your background is just the amount of different things that you've done, and hopefully we can pick from this experience. And to begin this conversation, could you give it the 2 minute, 3 minute introduction about where do you come from and what do you do today?
Yeah, sure. Very well. Very quickly, in terms of my entrepreneurial career, I started it at 19, and I borrowed £5,000 from the Prince's Trust at that time, which was run by Prince Charles in the UK. It's a famous charity that help young entrepreneurs. So they lent me £5,000, and I read a book called How to Make Money from the Music Business, and I liked the idea of making money, and especially in music because that music was my passion. So started building this business in the music business. I was 19. By the time I was 27, it was I owned one of the world's most successful, famous dance music brands, and five or six other companies and whatever. So at 27, I'd arrived, so to speak, in terms of what my goals were, and looking back, fair play to that young kid. Really, it was a hell of a journey to get there. And then from then, by the time I was 31, I'd lost the entire lot. I was working as a cleaner in a factory for $7 an hour, because I hadn't built it on firm foundations. And then I spent the next 18 years trying to build other businesses and other ideas with kind of various levels of success, but nowhere near what I'd had before. So that really takes me to lockdown. Then at the start of lockdown, when at that point I'm living in my office, I've run out of money. The business I had was going out of business because of lockdown. I had no savings, I had nothing, and I found myself living in my office and thinking, what the hell am I going to do now? And I had this idea of doing One Golden Nugget, so I went on that path, and the thing took off like a rocket. That's basically my career in a summed up version.
That was a very brief version of the career. Yesterday I had a meeting with. We're doing this private breakfast, business breakfast. We're starting 7:30 in the morning. Bring a selected, curated group of people together so they can network. And this time I was the speaker, talking about some insights from our latest book, which is about crisis management. And one of the people from the audience asked me during the Q&A, what was your biggest crisis? What was your biggest crisis moment and challenges? And we started talking about it and discussing and exploring, and I can just see the eyes of the people, because I don't think we speak so openly about our challenges. Everybody talks about success, and I was fascinated to find on your LinkedIn as well, that you clearly say that there's various things you succeeded in, but also there are some certain businesses, ventures that you failed at. And I wonder if you can maybe start a conversation from there and give us a bit of a, you know, some of these failures. What did you learn from them, and what you do differently so the audience maybe can learn from these lessons?
Yeah, failures. Yeah, well, first of all, what I've learned from One Golden Nugget is that everybody fails. And what is failure? Of course, failure is only a temporary thing if you allow it to be, and that's the key. It's got to be temporary. You shouldn't allow it to define you and define your life. Um, but I've had so many. I mean, most of my career from 19 to 48 was just trying an idea and then failing. Nothing ever worked. Um, I remember putting on one dance event, and it cost me around £150,000 for the night, and this is 1997. That's £150,000 in 1997 money. And I remember sitting outside the venue at about 2 in the morning. I could hear the music pumping inside the venue. And we sold very few tickets. I'd messed up. I lost my house that night, and I remember you know sitting in a field crying. His 29-year-old kid or whatever I was at that 28, 29. And and then the trouble with that is then you start chasing it, so then you do the next thing. So then I did a music album that was TV advertised, and we put in 50, 60 grand into that, and that failed. Then I did another event and I lost money on that. It was one where this is the trouble: when you start chasing something, it just moves further away from you. So they were three good failures. And then after I was sweeping floors in a factory, I became a songwriter, and I signed to Universal Music, and I was working with shows like X Factor and Pop Idol, and managing acts on the show, and also writing songs for some of the artists. But at that point, all of the money had come out of the music business. Everybody was downloading for free on Napster or whatever it was, and they weren't buying so many physical copies. So there was the money just kind of evaporated out the music business at a period of the early 2000s very, very quickly. So that caused more kind of temporary failure, but that wasn't necessarily in my control. But that was just the market. Everything's shifting all the time, isn't it? Life's always in this state of flux. So that was good. And I mean, so many things I tried, and the overall nugget of wisdom about that is that every idea I had was about making money. It wasn't about purpose. And when I
Mm.
started One Golden Nugget, that was a purpose-driven business. It wasn't based on the money. It was an idea. I wanted to help people and share wisdom and change people's lives. And I had no idea how to make any money from it. But what happened was life supported that idea when it was purpose-driven. So when you have a purpose, what purpose will do is it will drag you through the tough moments, because they're always there. They're always coming, because it's a so much bigger idea that you're going after, rather than the problem in the minute. That's very small compared to the overall thing that you're trying to do. So that was the thing I learned the most. It's purpose. Have a purpose.
How did you pick yourself up? If we can kind of reflect a little bit, like I mean, you managed to to bounce back at some point, but at the time, as you said, like you made some mistakes potentially that led to losing a house at this kind of age that you might be more fragile. Like, what were the steps that you would recommend somebody who is in a struggle, in a crisis, going through difficulties right now? What would you recommend them to do?
I'll get a sense of humor. You know, and the key is, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Well, you're gonna lose this, or you're gonna lose that. Well, who cares? Get over it.
Mm.
But that being said, at 31, I had this kind of crash, and I didn't come out my bedroom for a year. I was so depressed, because I'd lost my identity as a young guy that had just seen this kind of huge success. Um, I lost my identity completely in my early 30s, and it was very depressing. And I actually gave up at one point. And that what that does is it creates more pain, because then you've lost your hope. If you've given up, there's nothing at all. So, anybody that's going through a tough time, it's like, don't waste it, learn from it, and embrace the pain, enjoy the pain, smile at it, because it's turned up for a reason, to teach you something. So if you view it that it's that pain, which is essentially what it is, we're trying to move away from pain all the time, but the pain's turned up to teach you a lesson. You may as well learn the lesson while you're there, because the pain won't last very long. It lasts good luck and bad luck, or however you perceive luck. It shows up and it lasts a while, and then it disappears, and then something else turns up. So you're in that constant movement of life. So you just need to ride it and be in flow. But that's not always easy. You know, you have to develop yourself to deal with those, mentally deal with those challenges. And then when I started doing Nugget, and you hear some of the challenges people have been through, which are, which make my challenges look ridiculously tiny. You then develop empathy for people and for life, and you don't know what people are going through, and you don't know what they've been through. So then kindness comes into play, because you have a real sense of respect for other humans. You know.
What role other people played in your journey in that context? Like, are you good, by the way, in reaching out for help? This is something I personally, it's not something very natural to me. When I'm struggling, naturally I don't want to bother people, but I've been learning in the past few years that it's okay to say that you made a mistake. It's okay to reach out for help. But I wonder, was that something natural to you, and what was the role of other people, friends, mentors, support network on the journey?
Well, prior to One Golden Nugget, I thought I was the only person in the world with problems. That was truly my belief, that only I had problems. Everybody else was fine. Um, a- and and I would never ask for help. No, never ever. And then obviously I start getting into Nugget and hearing these stories, and I met a guy called Nick Ogden, who invented e-commerce. He built WellPay, the credit card transaction. I met him, and his nugget was, ask for what you want, because if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. And you're right, a lot of people are afraid to ask for help because of the rejection, or, oh, I messed this up, or whatever it might be. But actually, the key to success is to go and ask for help, because most people will extend that help. And the reason they extend that help is because it feels good. If you ask me to do, can I ask for your help? That's the phrase. Yeah, okay. What do how can I help you? And then if I can help you with connection, or an idea, or brainstorming a problem that you've got, or whatever it might be, or sometimes just actually listening. The greatest role of a mentor, I think, is to listen, because I think you can solve the problem just by talking about it sometimes. You just need to verbalize what you're experiencing. So now, on the Nugget journey, when Nick Ogden told me that about asking for help, I just go around asking for what I want, but based on the idea that everybody's got to win. And sometimes that win is just asking people for their opinion, and then they're giving you 15 minutes of their time to help you solve whatever it might be that you're going through. um, because those problems are not never going to go away. Problems and progress go hand in hand. Um, so, not viewing them as problems, viewing them as circumstances. It's just the next thing to, right, okay, what's this? Oh, right, great. Let's dive into it and see what it's teaching me, and how to solve it. So, asking for help is critical, and I've been blessed with Nugget to have a network of thousands and thousands of amazing people now. Because I shared my story and I'm vulnerable, they always open up and they want to help, or or indeed they're actually experiencing something, and they'll talk to me about it. It's very important.
What a powerful sentence, man. Can I ask for your help? It's so, I mean, so much resonates with me. um a couple of years ago, for me, something that turned my mindset around in this specific perspective was I watched the fireside chat this guy Grant Cardone did with Kevin Hart, the comedian. By the way, Kevin Hart is super smart. You guys know
Mm.
he's a business owner. He has multiple businesses. He's crushing it. He's not just a Hollywood star and a comedian. He's a very smart business person. And Grant Cardone asked him what was a game changer for you, and he said, "When I don't know something, I ask for help. I'm
Mm.
okay to call people and to risk to look dumb or whatever. I don't care. When I need something, I ask for help." And it's so
Absolutely.
simple. It is so simple. Yet, for me, it was I needed to hear that in the moment. And when you say that this sentence can ask for your help, so powerful, man. Because then you kind of release the tension. I mean, they can say no, I'm busy. Okay, fine.
Yeah, they won't.
I probably won't.
Unless they're an absolute idiot. If you reach out to somebody and they say no after asking for their help, then you're not asking the right person.
Mm.
Hello to David Abel, by the way. Hello, mate.
Yeah, David is sharing. I used to think I was the only one with problems too.
Yeah, no, yeah, no. That's my thing.
Man, I have to give you credit, Stephen, for the fact that we had a couple of interactions, and I was honored to be invited to join your podcast. By the way, I will ask you to share where people can find the podcast in just a second as well. One Golden Nugget, that was the name, right?
Yes.
One Golden Nugget, guys. Go check it out. This is bite-sized, simple pieces of wisdom with incredible people. So make sure to go check it out. Um, but I just want to give it credit, Stephen, for just being a very kind, very generous person. Your mindset from the very first time we had an interaction was seeing how you can make things valuable for me. So that's one. That's one. You've been a giver. You've been a connector, and then you're also a great communicator. I don't know how you do it because you're so busy, and I'm super curious to hear more about your projects these days. But you reply to my emails like super fast in a very organized, very kind way. So I just want to give you credit for that, Steven.
Thanks. I have an issue with it. When something, when I get a notification on WhatsApp or an email, I reply instantly, pretty much. And I've always done that,
Mhm.
because I view it as a conversation. So I'm not gonna, if you email me, I'm not gonna ignore it. It's like it's a conversation. What you need to make sure you do is turn that conversation off sometimes, otherwise it's just endless. Yeah, and I'm getting better at that. But you do need to turn it off. But the my brain gets scrambled if I'm too engaged all the time. But yeah, certainly if you message me, I'll respond.
Yeah, maybe one strategy is to turn off the notifications and have a specific block of time that maybe two, three blocks each day that you're replying to emails and messages. That's a For me that works because I'm also very conversational and I wanna talk to everybody right away. But then you're in the middle of some deep work,
Yeah.
and it could be difficult to reply to an email right away if because it's gonna distract me. As opposed to that, I'll 12 to 1 o'clock, I have 1 hour to reply all email, and then there's another block, I don't know, 5 to 5:30 to get back to all your messages. That's been
You've reminded me of something there. Deep work. I love deep work. When you get into, I remember writing this song once, and I was there for 4 hours, and time evaporated. Time evaporates when you're in that flow, and I don't think there's any most greater feeling when you're building your dream and your thing, and you're there, and you're right. I've got 2 hours to work on this thing, and then you complete it, and you get that sense of completion. I don't think there's any feeling better. Yes, doing a deal was great and getting paid on it, but that satisfaction of doing that work, and that's I learned from Rick Macy, who was the tennis coach for Serena and Venus Williams. He's a partner of ours. We're doing work with him. He's a great guy, and his thing was master boring, not being bored, but the repetition of what you have to do to build a business or a brand. It is repetition. It's the daily grind that people don't see, but and that's that deep work, falling in love with it, creating pockets of time during the day just to dive in and really get buzzed up about that thing. I really like that.
My background is movie production. I think I shared with you during our first conversation, and I can totally relate, man. And in order to allow yourself to dive into this deep work, creative problem solving, way entirely into flow, I would say what works for me at least is if I capture all responsibilities, tasks, assignments, meetings, and I kind of organize them and say, well, I'll take care of it tomorrow. I'll take care of that 6 p.m., whatever. Like these are the things I already allocate specific time blocks of when exactly I'm going to address all the urgencies. And then I'm like, okay, right now from 9 to 2 p.m., I'm going to be fully immersed into this one thing that that's really important. Then I can be fully there because somehow I'm not freaking out that these other things I need to take care of them. I've already organized them.
Wonderful. And
That's
and that what that creates, what that requires is discipline, obviously. But what I've learned is you need to be disciplined, but you need to be disciplined to be disciplined. So you need to remember to be disciplined and stay disciplined. It's all right being disciplined for a minute, but it's and that was a nugget I heard which resonated with me very deeply. That you can be disciplined for a time, but if that's not success. It's being disciplined to be disciplined.
and maybe now is the time to give us a bit of a context about the work that you do and what you're focused on these days.
Yeah, it's well, one golden nugget. We collect and share wisdom. So we ask people what their one golden nugget of wisdom is, um, which they then share. And when they share it, we create the business model is we have books where people. I built a book publishing company. So we have writing team and people go into our books and become co-authors and share their story, and it's a great entry level model to releasing a book as a co-author. So we have, I call them characters. So we have characters like Joe Foster, the founder of Reebok, and then we'll bring in 20 people. And David, who's listening, is one of our dear co-authors in the first book. So it allows them to share a story. But it that was the idea. But then you realize what you've got, and what it is a powerful tool, because when you share your story like I do, then that becomes a marketing tool because you're vulnerable, and then so people that become co-authors then share, send the books out, sign copies, and if they want, they want to introduce themselves to a new customer or a prospect or whatever, they send them a book. Or they want speaking gigs, they're then a co-author in a book. It elevates personal brand. So we're doing that, and then we create podcasts for people, and using the Nugget format, and we create events. And then we're moving fast now into becoming a media company, into an entertainment business that's focused on sharing wisdom, and that's the next goal. Build the book publishing company, and then that's great. But for me, it's always then got to be what's the next thing. Make a TV show. Whatever. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline.
There's a lot of people, listeners of the podcast, that are either thought leaders already, consultants, speakers, thought leaders, or they are entrepreneurs, ambitious professionals. Can you give us a few examples? You already did, but like, what are some of the projects that you're working on right now that people can potentially get involved in?
Well, yeah, we do How to Survive and Thrive with the founder of Reebok. So that's one of our co-author books, and that's ongoing. We're just finishing book 2 now, and then we move on to book 3. And we have some amazing people that go in there and share their story. We had in book 1 we had Evander Holyfield, and we had Keith Chapman who created Paw Patrol and Bob the Builder. Yeah, that was a $13 billion industry that Keith created. Um, and then we have entrepreneurs, small business owners that come in, and people that everyone's equal in life. There is, I hate that kind of hierarchy thing. Oh, I've made money, I've got this. So, that's all nonsense. Everybody's equal. So in our books, we have people that are at every level of success. Someone just starting out. In the book 2 for Survive and Thrive, we've got a 19-year-old guy that's a property investor. He's just done his third property. He's building a property empire at 19. Love it. So we have all those sort of amazing people, and then we have another series called Living with Purpose with Akhtar Badshah, who ran Microsoft philanthropy for Bill Gates. So that book is about purpose, and that allows companies to share their story about purpose, which is very important. because if you're a business, and you must be purpose driven, so that everything aligns with that purpose. So in that book series, we tell those stories. um yeah, it's a great thing. It came from an idea, and a very small idea, and it's growing into something quite amazing, because on the back of the books we build community as well. It's about bringing people together, and that's really where the magic happens. It's connections.
And here's maybe the time to say thank you so much for making an introduction to Akhtar Bagdash, Living with Purpose. I just want to announce that thanks to Stephen, we're gonna have the honor to also welcome him on the podcast on October the 15th. We're gonna record it live on LinkedIn. So once
Oh,
again, Stephen, thanks for being a great connector. And everybody listening, you might want to check out what the guys are doing, and maybe something resonates with you, some of those projects. Why not become a co-author? Is it the one golden nugget.com?
yes.
Okay, so you can go, you can check out the different projects, you can see how you can get involved, and why not become a co-author of Joe Foster, the founder of Reebok, or some of the other great personalities that Stephen is working with. Which leads me to a question, man: how do you get so these kind of rock stars to work with? I mean, many people listening to us here might be asking themselves, I'll be even afraid to send a message to these kind of people. How do you get to work with the founder of Reebok?
Ask. Just ask. But the thing with what we do, because it's very purpose driven, when we connect with these great people, it resonates with them instantly. Because like Joe found a Reebok. He's been through lots and lots of things in his life. Lots of really tough moments, and of course everybody has. So when you're a purpose driven business, we just we I built the business basically just ask. I just email people, or send them a LinkedIn message, and that's how we built this entire company. Was just by asking, again, asking for what you want. But if it's an ask, that I get so many messages on LinkedIn. Hello, we just connected. Would you like to buy X, or would you like to do all this? I've got this going. This is my service. It's an instant turn off. And we don't reach out to people saying, "Do you want to buy this?" We reach out to people saying, "Would you like to come and share a nugget of wisdom?" Because that's the purpose of the business, is to do that, is to share wisdom, is to change people's lives through that shared wisdom. And that's the ask. It's not, "Do you want to buy something?" And then from them, relationships are formed, because people want to buy. If you've got something that's of value, of course they do. We all want that, and we have. So it's it's not about us. It's just about the ask is very important. So there must be something of value in it for the other person, and when they share wisdom, they remind themselves of what they've been through, and they feel good for sharing wisdom, because it's going to change someone's life, and they enjoy the process. It's fun. You went through it. Whether they become customers after that is irrelevant, or they might connect us with somebody else, because they've enjoyed the experience. So it all starts with just asking for what you want, but in a from a giving mindset, rather than I'm trying to flog you something, because nobody wants to be sold. We all want to we want to discover, and we want to be in a relationship, in a buying relationship that feels good. You know, then of course something will happen.
Yeah, that's what happened with us, right? You were really kind to invite me to the podcast, and then you asked me, what is your focus? What do you need help with? You introduced me to uh, the Microsoft guy, right? You added me to your personal private community, which again, something that's creating a lot of value.
Yeah,
Uh, Building the community, but it's very natural. It's very organic. People there feel welcome. It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
just like, oh, let me put you in the community so I can send you links and you can buy my stuff. No, it's the opposite. It's like, hey guys, I want to bring you together because maybe some of you can connect and have a good time and generate value in between yourself, and that's what your purpose is, right?
And they do, yeah, and they do all day long. Yeah, it can't be, a relationship can't be fired off based on trying to sell something. Well, it's ugly, in my opinion. get to know people and actually, ask them what they need, what do they want, and then if you've got a product, how that can add value to what they're doing. Because I used to sell things that were just based on making money. It's just an empty thing. Money's just energy. So if you're gonna if you're gonna receive money from somebody, you better make sure that the value they're getting is 10 times what they're paying. That's really where you need to be. And I learned that from David Meltzer. That's his thing. 10
David's, by the way, such a giver, man.
times.
I,
Yeah,
I
yeah. I'm a big fan of his. I've never met him. I want to. I want to, and I will do.
I met
Yeah,
him at the Web Summit in Lisbon. We were both speakers. And if you've ever been to Lisbon for Web Summit, if you're a speaker, they have this massive speaker lounge. It's called Forum, and usually it's like 800 to 1,000 people that speakers. It's a huge conference, 80,000 people, right? So I remember meeting David, and we've been in touch previously on email. Um, he remembered my name first of all. We met, and he was like, "Hey, Stoyan, how are you?" Then he asked me, "What are you up to these days? Why are you here?" He was very busy. He was in the middle of a meeting, right? But he asked me this, and I'm like, "Let me leave you to have your meeting. It's great to meet you. Let's continue a conversation on email." I meet him the next day, and he's with somebody else, and he immediately he's like, "Hi, Mr. X. By the way, this is Toyan. He's doing that and that and that. He's such a cool guy that you guys have to meet." I'm like, how does he even remember? I mean, he's so many people he's meeting, whatever, but he remembered what I'm doing, and he immediately made an introduction, made this positive impression. I'm like, wow, this is what the cool people do, man.
yeah.
Um,
Well, names are very important. If you can remember someone's name and then use it, that's what he's just using quality psychology there. He's a very clever man.
how did you connect with him? Was it the same? You just reached
I
out?
haven't. I haven't. I just follow him. I've got all these mentors that I follow that I've not met yet, and he's on my list to connect with when the stars align. But I haven't met him yet. No. I'm looking. If
Told
I
him.
can ask for your help, and you've got his email, fire it off and say this Nugget guy would like to speak to you.
Okay, let's chat about that. I
If
can
I could
connect.
ask for your help, Stoyan.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I'd love to, man. Happy to
Of course you
introduce
would.
you. They're great guys. They're great guys.
Yeah, yeah,
We haven't got him on the podcast, so it might be that'll be a good reminder. But I'll be happy to connect you after we
yeah,
finish
yeah.
here.
That'd be good.
I mean, Daniel Pink, man, how did you get to Daniel Pink? I saw he was on the podcast. No.
Daniel, I reached out to Daniel in the very very start of One Golden Nugget, and just on his website.
Okay.
Um, I do a lot of that on people's websites. Normally you hit someone's website, you never hear from them, but you ask for their wisdom, and they're straight back. And he emailed me, and we've been working with Daniel Pink now for 3 years.
No,
He's
really.
always up for a nugget. Yeah, we've not done any business, but he's always up for a nugget, and he freely gives his time to us. I'll just drop him an email. He's like, yeah, cool. You know, um, so yeah, I mean that guy, it's mind blowing the knowledge he's got. His last nugget was turn how should I do something into how could I do something. So could is more expansive than should. So if you've got a problem, don't ask how should I solve this. Ask how could I solve it. What's the possibility? Be open to the possibility of what the solution is, rather than how should I do this, rather than how could I do this. So words are very important, and that's the thing I've learned from Dan. Amazing guy.
It's impressive how you remember so many of these nuggets.
Well, it's what David Meltzer does, right, with people's names. It's my job to remember, nuggets. Like one of your nuggets was to be the most. I can't remember exactly, but I remember the
MVP,
sentiment: the most
most
valuable
valuable.
person in the room. So you enter a room and you're the giver. and you did that on our WhatsApp. You're there. Yeah, how can I? You know, who do you need? Who do you want to speak to? You know that because I love that vibe. Yeah, what do you want? You know, shop's open. You know, game on. There's pie. You know, forget the money thing. That you know, focus on building something of excellence, and the money just turns up. I was reminded of that recently, again, and that's what you do. So yeah, remembering people's nuggets is I've got thousands of them.
That's insane, man. Like
Yeah,
literally, like the names we were talking immediately, you're like, okay, Daniel Pink. That's
yeah,
what he said.
yeah.
Uh, is there any nugget that comes to mind now that, like, maybe a nugget that you listened to recently that really resonated and was something that made you, change your mindset about something?
Uh, they're constantly changing my mindset. I think the greatest nugget we've ever had is about happiness, and the route to happiness is kindness, because we all want to be happy at the end of the day. You know, we buy any nice car or clothes or whatever it is, or have dinner, or you know, to feel more happy. But actually, by being kind, that's the route that's going to take you there, day in, day out, because kindness feels good, because it feels good for you and it feels good for the person that you give it to. So, you know, life's just energy, right? So when you're there projecting kindness out, kindness comes back to you, and that feels good. So when I heard that nugget, I was like, yeah, I fancy being happy, because I was never happy before that. So you know, that's the greatest gift you can give yourself. Just be kind to people, and happiness returns as a result from it. Isn't that mad that you don't have to go and buy anything? You just have to be kind? It's I think as humanity has forgotten sometimes what's important. The chase of the money and the success is pointless. You know, it doesn't bring anything.
We had Heather Mills. Maybe you are aware. Heather Mills. She's a philanthropist. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's an owner of the biggest vegan facilities, V Bites. I mean,
And the Mills, what, McCartney's
that's correct.
ex-wife.
Though
Oh, right.
she's not super interested to talk about this
No,
side.
no, no, that's all done and dusted. But yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
that's correct. Yes, I mean, exceptional person. She has 5 world records. Um, and she's a multiple gold medalist, and she's a disabled woman, but she's
yeah,
skiing and she's doing ski jumps, and I mean
yeah.
all kind of crazy achievements and stuff, but she's also exceptional personality. And one of the things she recommended on the podcast was, every time you're feeling down, you're feeling low, just reach out and ask if you can help somebody. Just reach out to people and try to be of help, and you immediately raise your state. What you're saying, right? Kindness. Like,
Mm.
it's, we're seeking for happiness, but it can be so close. I mean, this people need help. People need sometimes just to tell them something nice. I mean, when I have time, sometimes I'm just reaching out to people and I just record a message, man, and I'm like, hey, man, I just wanted to tell you, you've been such a great person, always supporting me. I just appreciate, your support, the things that you do. I'm proud of you, man. Thanks a lot. Just wanted to share that. Just record a message. I'm being honest, and you'll be like shocked. People like, man, I had such a bad day. I needed to hear that. Thank you so much. Like, it's here, man. 2 minutes, right? One nugget. Um,
Yeah, we had a nugget from a guy in Dubai, and that was his thing about every day make one unsolicited call to somebody that you know, and just say, check in, yeah, how you doing? And say like a video message, or a text, or you know, whatever medium you want. But you know, you're not after anything. You're just checking in. You know, how you doing? You know, do you need? Can I help? You know, it's the, the world needs to focus on kindness rather than profit. I
on the
don't.
topic of making meaningful connections, can you maybe share some other practical tips when it comes to, say, you're going to an event, to a conference, networking event? Like, what are some of the things on your checklist, like some of the things that you do maybe naturally at that point in time, but some of the things that you do so you can you can start a setup for creating these meaningful connections.
In person,
Let's say in person, yes.
yeah, I don't like them.
You don't like them.
No, not really. I don't like going yeah. I'm I'm okay. I'm getting better at it, but it's always been, I don't. I'm
Okay.
not the guy that's going to come and work the room. I'll just sit there quietly. um, don't know why, but that's pretty much been the way. But um, whenever you're at any of those things, it's yeah, the key is always just listening to other people. Yeah, when I ask what is your one golden nugget, people will respond, and then they'll probably tell you a little bit about their journey, and then they spent 10 minutes telling you about themselves, and they think you're amazing, and I haven't said a word because all they've done is go through their own little therapy thing. They told you about their nugget, they've told you about the problem and how they got over the problem. And let's remember, every problem we've ever had, you've solved it somehow. You think back to all those years, all those problems, all those things, they've all gone. You're still here. You've solved them somehow, or they just solved themselves, and and those problems kind of went and left. So that's always what I do. Is just I just open with that. What's your one golden nugget, and then listen, and then a new friend is made. I've just been to an event in at the Kennedy Space Center, speaking there and networking and what yeah, and it was amazing fun actually. But I'm not the guy that wants to go and work the room. I'll just sit there, and talk to the occasional person. Bit weird, really, but weird compared to what?
I love the fact that you're sharing this because you could have given me the politically correct answer, but
Yeah,
you
yeah, I'll give you the bullshit, right? Yeah, this is great. Go up to people. Nah, it's like I don't really like it. My circle is very, very small, and that's the way I've always been. But that's not arrogance. It's just y- y- I just don't want to go and work a room like some people are experts at it, and that's what they do. But that's not what I do. I'll more find one or two people that I gravitate towards, and then go and that's it. You know,
yeah, and
yeah,
I feel like we can create the most value if we tap into our best, most natural self.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you own who you are, man. Like I'm the opposite of you, right? Like my natural is to go and work out the room, and I just feel alive when I do
And
it,
I love that.
you know. But this is my thing, and if you ask me, stay in the corner, like I'll feel comfortable, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and once you kind of put all those natural traits and strength of yours and
yeah,
combine it with the purpose, the thing that you're excited about, how can I create value to the world with my talents and put
yeah,
my passions and the purpose in place? And
yeah,
that's where magic happens, I feel.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I totally agree. And it's also about knowing thyself. I'm 53 now. It's like I've got to the age where I start. I don't need to pretend to be anybody. I'm just me. And that's immensely freeing because you don't care what people think. And that was a nugget, an amazing nugget that a lady called Cindy Gallop gave us. That was, you know, don't give a damn about what people think of you. If you're doing great things, right, and you're a purpose, value led individual, I'm not talking about, the people that cheat and lie in life, because there's plenty of those, and I've certainly done a lot of that myself in my early career. It's when you're just your authentic self, you don't need to worry about what people think of you ever, and that's immensely freeing. Just don't give a damn. So if I want to sit here in the corner of the room, I don't want to talk. Yeah, that's fine with me. Or if you want to go and work the room and be do that because that's what you get your buzz from, that's great. But I don't give a damn if because I heard it the other day. Oh, you're a bit quiet or whatever. It's like, oh, and I like being quiet. I like listening to people. If I go to somewhere and people are talking, I like to listen to what they're saying, because if I'm opening my mouth all the time, I'm not going to learn anything. I'd rather listen, you know?
Was there a moment in your life that you you switched and you decided kind of like, I need to own my flaws and maybe weaknesses, things I'm not necessarily so good at, like my insecurities, like because I think that's a key part. Everybody has weaknesses, everybody is strong in certain areas and not so strong in others. But how do we own our shortcomings?
Just embrace them, love them, because they're part of who you are. So rather than trying to fix them, embrace them. But it took me years to get over the ego of that. And this is where ego is a problem, because you're trying to mask that rather than embrace it. I.e., I messed up, or I'm this, or I don't do that. Learning to say no to things is very important, because yes, people, that's annoying. You need to keep focused on what your agenda is. Otherwise you get pulled out all over the place, and you never get anywhere. And I really only started to accept who I was when I started to do Nugget and tell my story, because then people would open up and share their story. So then you realize that everybody has that paradigm. Everybody has that thing going on internally, their insecurities and their fears and their doubts and their all that jazz, as well as their they got the other side of that. But that human mess thing, that which is what we go through all the time. The whole thing's just to be embraced. You're not gonna be here for very long. How many years have I got? 53. I might have 30 years. Great. Well, maybe more, maybe less. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. Just embrace everything while you're here. You know.
I love it, man. And the name of the podcast and the topic of the podcast, we talk about productivity. It's productivity mastery, right? So
Mm.
we don't believe that there is one approach to productivity. But I wonder how do you, having in mind your unique personality, owning your strengths and your weaknesses, how do you manage to be productive? Also, keeping in mind the context of your work, you have to be jumping from project to project. You do speaking, you do podcasts, you are organizing all these projects, getting authors on board. Like this, there's many different activities you have to do in order to be productive. Like, what is your style? How do you manage to be productive?
Discipline. I think for me, discipline, and it's having that plan every day that I've worked out the night before. I know what I'm doing the next day and then the next week, and of course the plan changes constantly. Nothing's but having an idea and an intention as to what to create, and then just allowing, so being productive where you feel the flow is right. Actually, I'm gravitating towards doing that, but making sure that the tasks are meaningful. Anybody, the busy fool, anybody can just be busy, and when you're intention led, then I find it a lot easier to be productive based on that intention. That's the thing, right? Okay, what do I need to do? Let's go and smash it. And that then comes into the deep work, which I really enjoy. And then seeing, and then observing what the end result is, because you can't you can't you, you're not responsible for the result. You can't change the result. The result is what it is. What you're responsible for is the doing of the creation to get the result. So enjoying, falling in love with that productivity journey, because you have to be productive, you have to produce stuff, you have to create stuff, and it has to be of value. um so I enjoy the doing of the productivity. There's an idea, right? What we got to do? Well, let's spend a focused amount of time on it, and to be productive. And I've only learned this recently, actually, is not to overwork. I have a problem with overworking, no doubt about it. And then you don't get productive. It dips off quite dramatically. So smaller, smaller, smaller pockets of work high intensity for productivity.
You just described the whole mindset we're having here at
Oh,
Productivity
did I?
Master.
Oh, that's lucky then.
I'll tell you why. Like the first thing is the intention based schedule, which to me was the biggest kind of shift when it comes to my personal productivity and
I
team
see.
productivity. Is like David Talon was a guest on the podcast a couple of times, the author of Getting Things Done, GTD. It's one of the core ideas behind the methodology. It's one of the core ideas in any successful, effective person. It's like before I commit to doing something, I need to get clear on what's my intention, what
Hmm.
is the end result of my work,
Hmm.
right? Doing sales is not, it's an activity, right? Like, but what does that mean, doing sales? What exactly are you intending to produce, right?
Hmm.
I want to close this specific contract uh, by this deadline. Okay, that's very result based. I see why you're committed. Now you can come up with the step by step how to get there. Decide on the activity that will get you there possibly, and then you put it in your calendar and say from 10 to 12, my commitment is there. And of course, when you get there, you'll be focused on this one specific thing. You'll be motivated because you see the purpose, you see the intention. And I wish more people take this approach that you do, that they have a specific time in their schedule that they are not working, they're setting the intentions for the next day.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time just thinking these days. Just sit there thinking about something. And it's that analogy of, if you want to chop down a tree, you spend 80% of the time sharpening your sword, your axe, sorry, not your sword, your axe to chop down the tree. It becomes that's the way to do it. Um, yeah, it sounds like I've got it nailed, and I haven't.
Can you share maybe like to go down in the trenches? Can you share
Ooh.
what exactly is your process when it comes to this, creating this list and planning the day? Like do you do it on a like in a notebook, like spreadsheets? Like what do you do to organize yourself?
Uh, a huge piece of white paper, like massive white piece of white paper, and I draw mind maps. So you start with a circle in the middle of whatever it is. Yeah, it could be the day, right? Let's say it's the day. So you've got the circle in the middle, and then you've got these branches that come off with other circles, and then they're the master kind of things to achieve. And then from that other little circles, then the actions. So then, because I'm a visual person, then I can see it. I don't really like to-do lists, but you can see what you want to achieve, and then it's like, what's the most important task, what's the really critical ones I have to do, focus on those first, and then go through it. So yeah, that's the way I like to create my intention, is by seeing it.
Right, and then you use any sort of a calendar.
um well, yeah. Yes, and I do plan my weeks out in terms of pockets of time as well in the week. um and I'll probably do another mind map for that. You can do a mind map for anything. So, if it's one singular problem that you've got, it's like, then it comes back to that, how could I do it? So it's the little branches are all possibilities of, you can see the possibilities of, and then it's like, then use your intuition to guide you as to what where you should go. But that being said, because like today I haven't actually done it. So today's kind of, I've got, because I've been away, I've got so much to do, but I haven't done that. So today will be just a kind of, well, what do I feel like doing? And I like those days as well. Rather than everything's so planned out, and this is the intention, and this is what I'm going to do. Sometimes it's just like, nah, I see what I feel like doing. See what see where I'm guided to put my energy.
Yeah, days like that, man. I totally resonate. Like when I'm on the
Nothing.
road for a week or for a couple of weeks or so, and it's like there's a bunch of stuff. You come home, you're probably not fully, rested, like you're jet lag right now, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, to me, I mean, even I was sharing. I had a workshop a couple of weeks ago. I shared with the participants. look at me now. Like, this is what I usually do. Okay, this is the step by step how I organize my to do list. But let's be honest, I'm not gonna do it 100% of the times. Like, I was on the plane. I have a lot on my mind. Look at what I did, what a kind of list I did on the plane, and and okay, when I'm flying and I don't have internet, what are the tasks I can do? When I'm in the airport waiting for my connecting flights for 3 hours, then I have some internet. I can maybe do this and this. Like, um, some days I like to have a list like this, and especially when I haven't been down in the trenches for a couple of weeks, I want to kind of organize. Like, is there something urgent that needs to be addressed today? Let me prioritize these 3 4 5 things, but the rest of it I want to be a little bit more of a let's go with the flow.
Yeah, because that's the key to life. It's being in flow. Because if you're in flow, you're not in resistance, and if you're in resistance, then life starts to resist. Things get sticky. You feel like you're wading through treacle. Those sort of days. But if you're in flow, you're just flowing. You know. So and you know when you're not in flow because you feel the resistance, you feel the frustration, and it's okay to feel those emotions, but not every day. But we'll get them. But as much as you can be in flow and just be like, yeah, this is cool. Because we spend our lives creating artificial deadlines the whole time. Everything is an artificial deadline. It's nonsense. We're not put on this planet to create a to-do list and to pay bills. Come back to the present moment, be in flow. What do I feel? What's this? What you know, always being busy is not clever because I've spent so many years just being busy because I know it doesn't work. I think you're much better off being in flow and enjoying the moment and sometimes just not having a to-do list at all. But then so today I haven't got one, but Thursday, Friday, I will almost certainly have one because I'm ready for that kind of right, okay, let's smash through 20 things straight away. But today I'm not feeling that. So I'm not going to do it.
Kind of like a dance, man. I think
It is, yeah, life's a dance.
people put things in boxes, and they're like, you're either super structured or you're not structured at all. It's like, no, it's like a dance. You got to feel yourself. And I'm going to quote here the author of a book called The Creativity Leap. She was a guest on the podcast in the early episodes. I should connect you, by the way. She's great, Natalie Nixon.
Please, please.
She'll definitely give you some great nuggets.
Thank you.
So she, at the core of her book, she talks about in order to be creative, you have to find how to toggle between rigor and wonder.
Ooh.
And that's a constant, kind of finding your sweet spot, right? Because you want rigor, you want a to-do list, you want goals, you want to structure things, your calendar. At the same time, you want to create spaces for wonder. Yes, you said, like, I'm blocking these 4 hours structure, right? It's in my calendar, I'm blocking it. But within these 4 hours, I can get messy. I can do different things, right? And maybe it's gonna be 6 hours. So I'll be a bit more wondrous.
Yeah.
But if I only wonders, nothing gets done. I might get too sidetracked. If I'm all in rigid, doesn't work. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's this constant dance, right?
It is. Thank you for reminding me. It's so true.
And I used to feel like when I have bad day, like a low energy day, or I call them low energy days, LEDs. I used to feel like, oh man, I'm not productive. I'm the productivity coach. Everybody's asking me for advice in productivity. Like, I'm having a bad day. I'm not productive. But then I'm like, hey, dude, take it easy. Nobody's asking you to be productive this very day, right? Like, I mean, you have to be an example, right? But like, productivity is measured in longer periods. Of course, my productivity cycle is not going to be like a straight line. It's going to be, you have a day that you're at 45%, you have a day that you're at 85%. The point is, how do I get the best out of the day, having in mind my energy, all the circumstances? Like, maybe the most productive thing to do is to switch off, go for a walk in the park, because tomorrow I'm going to be productive. I'm going to make it up for, like, it's a uh, acceptance.
Yeah, we had another nugget, and that was that there's momentum in stillness. You don't have to be busy to create momentum. Sometimes, in stillness you can create momentum, and it's so true because in stillness, let's say you're meditating or you're just being still, an idea can form, and the universe whispers to you all the time. Whispers. So when you're quiet, you can hear life. So coming back to that quiet place is then sometimes where the big breakthroughs come, because you're not busy, you're not trying to be productive, you're actually being productive by being still. So stillness is very important.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. And once again, thank you so much for being with us. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure we will love to have you and have you back at some point to share more nuggets of wisdom. Just to wrap up this episode, Stephen, can you maybe just summarize a little bit about the work that you do? How can you help others? What are some of your current projects? Where could people find the books that you're producing and the great podcast that you're producing as well?
Sure. Well, everything's on onegoldennugget.com, ONE, Golden Nugget. And if people want to go out there and create their own book and become a co-author, we have a process for that. We do the writing, we do everything. We've made it as simple as possible. And my advice would be to do it, because the benefits are so huge by being vulnerable and sharing your story and using it as a platform for that. Excuse me. So that's the business we've become, and it's a beautiful thing. So yes, all hurry over now and come and do that with us.
And the podcast, where could people find the podcast?
Excuse me. How to survive and thrive. So you can find it on Apple and Spotify, or if you come to our website again, there's links on it. I think we're up to about 170 episodes now of Nuggets. We've only been doing it a couple of months, and we're always looking for people to come and share a nugget of wisdom, and we then share them, and that changes someone's life, and it creates beautiful energy, and so we're always hungry for wisdom, hungry for nuggets. That's our purpose, is to change people's lives by sharing wisdom. So yeah, we're always up for a nugget chat.
Well, thank you for sharing a bunch of nuggets of wisdom today with us, Steven. It's been a pleasure having you on the Productivity Master. We've learned so much so far. It will be great to have you back at some point. 193, this is the episode, meaning there's 192 more episodes of Productivity Mastery. Everybody listening, make sure to check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. And if you give us a 5-star review, we're going to love you even more, because that way we can reach more people with the message, with the wisdom, and of course, have a chance to bring in more and more fantastic guests like Stephen Foster. Stephen Foster, the founder of One Golden Nugget. Thank you so much, Stephen. And to everybody listening, thanks for making it to the end of the episode. Enjoy a great day, and see you once again next time for another episode from the Productivity Mastery series. Thank you so much. Ciao.
Thanks, mate.